Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto are at an inflection point. We saw Bitcoin rally up to 89,000 yet again, only to see it get rejected. Currently trading at 87,000. The next move, we believe, will be big. Will it be big to the upside or to the downside? We have Forrest joining us to give his thoughts and how he's been treading the markets and making money. Maybe you can give us some tips on how we can maximize our gains. We're going to talk a little bit about gaming. Is the gaming narrative heating up? And if it is, which project should you have your eye on? And Tron and Base are now friends. You can now trade Tron assets on Base native dexes like Aerodrome. Is that a plus for Base? Is that a plus for Tron? Also, when the Base token launches, when I say when, it's not if, it's when, is that going to be the play of the cycle? We'll get everyone's thoughts. We have that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Gina, roll the intro.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob. We're back. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. We take old, boring, and stale information. Unlike other channels, we do it in a fun, entertaining way. A lot of volatility in Bitcoin in the mornings, right? I think you called it the other day that was it 6 a.m. is hey
6/7 a.m.
It's like as soon as you start noticing these patterns, you're like, you know what? I'm just gonna start longing this because it's gonna break out. It has the last 4 mornings and it doesn't. So
You just gotta be careful you don't get you don't get on the wrong side. So I mean, speaking of that, this was Bitcoin's morning candle here. This one with a massive wick to the upside, right? So it opened at around 88,111. It ran all the way up to 89,350. Only to close below where it opened, sub 88,000. We saw a little bit of a rally, and then we had that big red candle to the downside. And Bitcoin has attempted to recover, rallied all the way up to 87,430, and is currently trading at 87,000 flat. That's why I said, we're at an inflection point. We're talking about this with MATIC yesterday. Just kind of trading this range here, right? The range between 89.6 and 85.6, right? That $4,000 range, a pretty good range. We can scalp some profits and make some money. But at some point, to MATIC's point yesterday, a range is a range until it's not. So when does it not become a range? And once it eventually does break out of the range, where's it going to break? Will it break to the upside? Will it break to the downside? Craig Koenig said Trump's speaking today. I think he already spoke or he's speaking. We do have a clip we want to share with you from that. But before we do that, I want to bring on our man Forrest on the channel. Forrest, welcome back, man. How you doing?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me on.
It's my pleasure, Forrest. We hope you're doing good. What's your thoughts on the market here? How you feeling? What about this range? Give us your thoughts.
I'm in like a no crypto mode right now. Sad as that is. I'm just in metals and stocks at the moment. I mean, I still own some crypto. I think still have my XRP bag. I think XRP's at support. So maybe we get a bounce. And then Monero is trading more like a metal than anything really in crypto. So yeah, that's about it for crypto for me. Monero and XRP, and XRP's not been great. It's just been down only, but due for a bounce. So
well, everything's been down only. Forrest, outside of those two, is there anything else you're holding? If you don't mind sharing, are you still holding virtuals? Are you still holding BitTensor?
I know you're pretty big.
Yeah, but I mean, I just have real small bags of that stuff in comparison, and they're not super material positions at the moment. Just enough to not want to FOMO in if it does start running or get a dead cat bounce or something. But really Monero's been very strong. XMR has been super strong. It's knocking on all-time high doors of all-time high. Honestly, I think if crypto turns back upwards and Bitcoin bounces, I think Monero will probably break out and do the best. It's actually I'm almost as bullish on Monero as I am on metals recently. It's trading very similar patterns. And there's also just a lot of similarities. I think Monero is one of the more metallic cryptocurrencies out there just with the privacy feature. So it just really Monero is the only thing that I see in the crypto market that I'm actually excited about.
You think it's still, you think people, Forrest, that maybe are watching okay, you know what, Monero, you know, yeah, yep. I think that's a, yeah, I agree with your sentiment. I agree with your thesis. You think it's a good spot for people to get a position on Forest, or is there like a big support level? And if you want to, you know, show a chart, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, so I mean, here's the Monero chart. This thing's bullish. This is a huge cup and handle, similar to the gold cup and handle that broke out already, and similar to the silver cup and handle that recently broke out. If in a nutshell, or in a vacuum rather, you look at this chart and you have no, like, you wouldn't have any, if this was like a chart of crypto, if this was just like the only crypto you traded, you'd be like, oh, what bear market, what downtrend? Like, what are you talking about? Like, this thing's just been, you know, since April, since the tariff, you know, no, not even, that was 2025. Since last April, you know, to April 2024. This is a weekly chart. This thing's just been in an uptrend, and we're starting to see some expanded volatility, and this thing's trying to break out of a big cup and handle. You chart this versus, you know, any other cryptocurrency, you know, chart it versus Bitcoin. You know, again, since April, this thing's printing bullish patterns. You've got your, you know, triple bottom, or, you know, you call it a triple bottom. It's not quite a triple bottom, but your three lows with a higher low, and then you're breaking out of a downtrend that dates back to 2018. Like, Monero is very strong here against Bitcoin, and I think it can go, you know, considerably higher. And then really the apex asset, you know, I'm a gold maxi now, Peter Schiff style. You know, the apex asset, the top performing asset of the year, the two top performing assets have been gold and silver, and gold's the largest asset in the world, and it's up like 60 or 70% this year. And you chart Monero versus gold, and it's just in this beautiful, huge high time frame flag where this thing is starting to trend upwards versus gold, and we know how well gold has performed, and it's starting to look really good versus gold. So I really like Monero here for crypto exposure. But beyond that, I do think I think you could buy, like, I think you could wait to buy a little bit higher, or you could just buy here. Like, this is a bullish chart. This is an uptrending weekly chart, higher highs and higher lows, which is very different than any other crypto chart right now. Like, weekly higher highs and higher lows. So I think you can buy into that if you're willing to. It's a volatile asset. You might get a correction here. But you look at the same thing on you know, the same, you know, Bitcoin chart. You had your higher highs and your higher lows, and we're trying to eke out a higher high or higher low right now. But this thing's starting to roll over. You've got your wedge there, your breakdown. Meanwhile, Monero's pressing up against all-time highs. So I lean towards Monero outperforming if we start to see a crypto rotation.
Forrest, do you think that means that, you know, Zcash, Dash, some of the other ones maybe also get a bid where they have a little more potential upside?
I would would stick with Monero on the privacy stuff. You know, maybe like if we, obviously Zcash ran super hard, but I think Monero has bottomed versus Zcash. So if we chart Monero versus Zcash, you can kind of see where, you know, Zcash, this is Monero versus Zcash. So Monero actually broke down versus Zcash here. And I think this is probably this was like an insane run for Zcash. I think this is very likely to mean revert. And at the very least, probably like backtest this. So I think Monero is going to outperform for the foreseeable future. I think this is very likely bottomed. You kind of had your bull div here. You're starting to print your inverse head and shoulders versus Zcash. There's your left shoulder, there's your head, there's your right shoulder, there's your double bottom at the bottom. So I lean towards Monero, and also just like this chart pattern really hasn't let me down. These massive cup and handles, like you go back and you just look at, you know, you look at silver. Okay, so what's the hottest asset in the world right now? Silver. Everyone's talking about silver in this huge breakout. It's a huge cup and handle. Gold was also a huge cup and handle. Gold's been outperforming all year long. So if you just long the massive cup and handle that's like right in your face and don't get distracted with other stuff, usually you do pretty well, because it's like, you know, you could have made that argument like about longing gold, you know, back in March of 2024 on this breakout. But it's like, if you just longed gold with a little bit of leverage or some call options, you're up over 100%. I mean, leverage up on that, you can be like up 10, 15x on your money over the, you know, course of the last, you know, year and a half. So same thing with silver. So I'm big on just like Monero's the bullish chart, and that's what I want to have exposure to, versus trying to like long the beta assets.
So Rob, Forrest is bullish on Monero, but he doesn't think it's going to translate over to the other privacy coins. If that's the case, right, and we have this isolated where it's not a whole sector runs, it's just one coin in a sector, what does that tell you about kind of where the market is and how are you using that?
You could say that's what we saw out of Zcash. I mean, the one thing that pumped with it was Dash, but outside of that,
well,
we saw a couple flashes in the pan for a couple projects, but it wasn't like we've seen before. Like in previous bull runs when gaming was running or NFTs, like you got strong performances out of 3, 4, 5, 10 different projects. When AI ran earlier this year, you saw what happened with 5 different AI projects. And so I don't really equate this to Zcash running and it being all of privacy and all of this ZK roll up kind of thing. It was a little bit, but it really wasn't. And so with that said, I think what we just saw was that you had a dinosaur coin. You had something that has value, has utility, has good token distribution. It's, it's not held by 10 people, 10 wallets or something like that, which that is actually more common than you'd think, that 10 wallets would hold majority of tokens. But nonetheless, you had a one-off pump. And very similar situation here on Monero. The only downside of Monero is that it doesn't have listings with US-based exchanges. It's off of Coinbase. It's not looked at favorably by the U.S. government. That would be something maybe to consider if you're looking at it long term. In a short term position, I think it is a good play right now. And I think it does make a lot of sense. And when you start chopping sideways for long periods of time, traders get bored.
Yeah.
And they just want to start getting into something hot, right? When did Zcash run? It was on the downfall of Bitcoin from its all-time high, right? Bitcoin was falling and people were like, okay, well, where am I going to make money? Not ETH, not Solana. And so they went into Zcash and it just didn't stop, right? Just the traders were like, cool, we'll hop on it. And so I think that in the short-term trend, I like Monero. It makes a lot of sense. Long-term, I don't really know if it's the best play. I think it might be, I'd rather go Zcash long-term. If you were going to make a play, I don't even think it's a good time to buy Zcash. I think it's going to head down to $100, my personal opinion, over time. Maybe next 4 months it'll get there.
$100, huh?
Yeah,
it's pretty steep.
It was at $20.
Yeah.
Then it was at like $40 for so long, for years. Like it's $100 is still a good spot for it to consolidate at. If you're a believer, that's where I would. But with that said, I think if you look at Monero's price historically, you're to look at their price historically. I feel like it's in a better buy if you're a believer in privacy than Zcash at current prices. But I do like it short term.
Gentlemen, we always talk about, and people always look for, what is a catalyst? What could be a catalyst, right? It's like in bull markets, you get bullish news, integrations, prices skyrocket. It's kind of how you know you're in a bull market. The reverse is you get bullish news and it does nothing to the price. In fact, sometimes you see a tiny pump and then a big sell-off. And so
I'd argue that in bull markets, you tend to see things that just make no sense. Honestly, like things just rally. You're like, why is this thing up? Doge, SHIB, like people were just like, yeah, there's no way it keeps going.
Well, both can be true, right?
And you got the same sentiment out of Zcash. Now Zcash has utility, but like, let's be real. It's not like they just launched a bunch of dApps and all these companies were using Zcash. It was honestly more of a speculative rally. I think it was just something that just caught steam and people just kept jumping on the bandwagon. Very speculatively ran. What was the reason behind it? Was there a large Zcash headline? No.
Not that I know.
And
of.
so this is par for the course. This is what happens in crypto. Sometimes things just don't make sense. Just hop on. Ask questions later after your portfolio is green.
Shoot first, ask later.
Just jump in later, bro. If you feel like the trend's going to continue, right?
Let me ask you guys a question here. Generally speaking, when you're getting ready to go in a pool, are you the kind of guy who will just like go and run and jump in, or you gotta like put your foot in, see how the water is?
Bro, if your soft ass puts toe in there and then like shimmies in there over the next 10 minutes,
No,
like
well,
be a
no,
man.
that's not-
Jump in the damn pool.
Okay, but first you gotta check the temperature.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
What is it gonna? You're gonna die of hypothermia? What are you checking for?
You can actually. You can.
No. How many hypothermia deaths are there from the pool every year, David?
Somebody find those metrics for me, please. Thank you very much. Anyways, way to take a fun question and make it not fun. So President Trump spoke today. Now back to my point of, well, what could be a catalyst? What could be a catalyst? We always talk about retail, retail, retail. Take a listen to what Trump said this morning in his speech to America.
Next year, you will also see the results of the largest tax cuts in American history that were really accomplished through our great, big, beautiful bill, perhaps the most sweeping legislation ever passed in Congress. We wrapped 12 different bills up into one beautiful bill. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Under these cuts, many families will be saving between $11,000 and $20,000 a year, and next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of all time.
Forrest, with all that said, is that enough for you to move the needle in crypto?
I don't know. I mean, I think people are struggling. I think people have been struggling for a while. I think inflation's really bad. And I think we're going through like a very massive accelerating debt spiral in the US right now. Like you can see it in the charts. You can chart gold versus like long-term treasuries, and everybody's dumping treasuries to buy gold, dumping treasuries to buy silver. And for crypto, it's like people aren't dumping treasuries to buy Bitcoin, unfortunately. Like you look at the Bitcoin chart and it's down while, you know, the other store of value assets such as gold are up. So are people, you know, that say you get like a $10,000 tax refund, are they immediately going to ape it into crypto? I don't necessarily think so, sadly. And I'm not trying to be super bearish here on crypto. I think crypto's like, it's become max extraction. So I think like people, there's been just fewer and fewer winners. Like it used to be like if you like bought meme coins or you bought altcoins, you'd hear stories about people just making a ton of money. But lately it's just been so extractive with all the pump fund stuff. I think honestly, I think pump fund kind of killed the gambling aspect of crypto. And they're also now competing now that sports betting is legalized. I know you guys are in Vegas, so you guys have been normalized to it for a while, but for the rest of the country, like sports betting recently became legal and now people are betting there. Polymarket is now like you can bet on Polymarket and Kalshi. Like all of that is borderline, if not straight up, more attractive for gamblers than altcoins right now and meme coins. It's like, when's the last time you saw a meme coin go to like 500 million market cap? There's just like, it's not happening at the moment. Yeah. So no, I think like honestly, tax refund money probably gets diluted by like other forms of gambling, unfortunately.
You know, you mentioned straight extraction from like meme coins and small projects. Like here's the Trump coin. This was
yeah, I'm happy you brought that up because a lot of people point to this and say that was the turning point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trump coin, the largest liquidity extraction event in crypto history, once valued at $67.5 billion and fully diluted, now down 94% here. You can see the screenshot of this here. So
I mean, we were watching, I don't know about you, what you were doing, but I remember first seeing the news and saying, no way this is real, as the price is rising. So I'm like trying to figure out, is this real? Is it not real? By the time I was able to say, okay, this is real, I first saw it at $6, and then it was at $33, and I was like, I'm not buying this. I feel like I was gonna get trapped. But anyways, like you could literally see on chain people selling their Bitcoin, their Ethereum, their Cardano to get it into Solana to buy the Trump coin. And so when you talk about liquidity extraction, the only thing it benefited in the short term was Solana. And even then, people were selling Solana to buy the coin. And then when you sold the coin back into Solana, you were selling Solana back into dollars.
Yeah, and then it's not even just meme coins. Here's a AIXBT. Cardano withdrew $70 million or 70 million ADA from his treasury to fund Midnight infrastructure, paying $25.7 million to build someone else's layer 1 privacy because its own chain couldn't attract users and couldn't attract users. It spent 7 years building. Now, it goes on to show Sui here, and it's about his TVL. I don't know if Sui's in any better play, but just interesting, you know, that the treasury that was set up for Cardano's chain, for it to bring in developers, dApps, that one was used, or 70 million ADA there was used to fund the Midnight token. Which I know the community keeps slam dunking on me for saying that, like, hey, came out at $2 and now look where it is now. But somebody made off with some good price. I don't know, man. It's either market makers or somebody. I don't know, man. But it wasn't a good look, man. And, you know, like, people in the Cardano community and the Midnight community, they can sit here and be like, well, Cardano didn't sell the tokens, but the price came out at $2, and there were millions of dollars in volume, and it got dumped on, bro. And so, like, you can sit here and point the fingers at other people, but I'm just letting you know it's not a good look. It didn't go off well. So, like, I mean, it could be somebody else's fault, but okay.
Can I, Gina? I don't want you to pull this up. I'm like, don't pull it up, but I want to read this. This is someone who's watched our show before. You know who this is. I think I told you, but this is what this person DM'd me on Telegram in regard to, because this is the second time you've said, you know, Midnight and, you know, the team dumped and yada, yada. So he said, why does Rob keep getting the wrong idea about the Midnight launch? All exchanges came on live at 10 UTC or so. Midnight seeded them with the tokens and there was no dump. There was some crazy price exploration. Even Charles said it would be priced around 5 cents, but the exchanges dropped and it was just for like the first few minutes. It got crazy in 11 cents and then 16 and then settled around 3 to 6. There was no dump on anyone, so, as no one who airdrop had token to be dumped on yet. If anything, this staggered drop helped keep the price stable around 6 cents. Even when everything else has been crazy, it has been staying in its 4 to 7 cent range. It's just not a good take that it was some kind of dump. Midnight made deals with all of these exchanges to list and open.
Somebody dumped. That's the problem.
Well,
like,
he was saying it was the exchanges. It wasn't.
Well, then it's what I'm saying is that somebody dumped on your project, bro. And to blindly dismiss it like it's been some successful launch is BS, bro. It came out at $2. Like, it's $2. It's at 5 cents. What I'm saying is that, like, okay, market makers missed the mark. I will 100% agree with you there. But to drop 99%, you know what I'm saying? Like 90% would still be 40 cents, man.
But we okay. If we go back to,
I'm not saying Charles Hoskinson came up with some plan and he was like selling it, like he had it. Like, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that, like, if you're gonna sit here and try to open my mouth and shove some pill that Midnight is doing, it was such a successful launch, you took 70 million ADA from your treasury to fund a different project, came out at $2 per token, and then it got slam dunked on, and you're just sitting there being like, Charles Hoskins said it was gonna go to 5 cents. Come on, guys. Like,
so Forrest, you've seen
a whack ass launch, bro.
So Forrest, you've seen and you've been through a lot of TGEs. And those are not familiar with the term, TGE stands for token generation event, when a token goes live. Isn't this common for us to where you get a really high opening and then it just goes straight down?
Yeah, I mean, like early insiders just dump. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, who cares if it was? I agree with Rob. Like, it doesn't matter if it's Charles Hoskinson or the exchange or whoever. Somebody got token allocation and just dumped it at a high valuation. Yeah, I mean, I think like we're not in a place where yeah, which actually I think this is healthy. Like this is long term good for crypto. That you can't just like launch a new blockchain or layer privacy layer and like just make a ton of money, or not make a ton of money, but I mean obviously people did make money on this, but like just be successful because you're a new thing launching on Cardano. So I think in general, like most layer ones are failing and have failed. I think there's like basically ETH and Solana left in terms of layer ones, and like even Solana's like if you look into like the number of validators that they've got is dropping significantly because they're just not making enough money to run the validators anymore. So that's becoming, I guess, quote unquote, more centralized over time, whatever. I mean, obviously, like XRP is kind of like in a different situation just because it's, kind of has like a whole company behind it that's super, cash heavy. But beyond that, like, I mean, BNB, like you've got like 5 or 6 layer ones that like have any hope at all. And I think basically all the other L1s are just like,
which ones are they?
not
What's your, Forrest, let's do this. And I'll ask Rob the same question. What are your 5 L1s that you feel fairly confident that will make it? And for the people watching, I want you to pay attention, right? And I'm also paying attention. I'm going to give mine. I'll ask Rob for his. Forrest, what is your top 5 layer ones or infrastructure plays that you think could make it through this downturn?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I think the ones that'll be around for a while and like actually be used are Ethereum, BNB, XRP, Solana. And like obviously like Bitcoin's technically an L1, but you're talking about something that has like smart contracts on it. Like I think like Bitcoin and Monero are like technically L1s, but it's like something that has DeFi on it, something that has
give me one more, Forrest.
I was gonna say, what about Chainlink? Because immediately I think of like Chainlink.
Well, Chainlink's not an L1.
Honestly, I don't even think I'm just gonna stick to 4 because I don't think there are 5 that are gonna make it. Honestly.
Okay, so
like, I don't think Cardano is going to make it.
You got ETH, BNB, XRP, Solana, and I'm going to put them in the chat. And I want people to vote. Rob, what are your 5? And if you can,
Tron, did I say Tron?
You did not say Tron.
Okay, I'll throw in Tron because I think they've got just an insane amount of stable coins over there.
Okay. Yeah. Rob, what about you, man?
Tron is king of DeFi overseas, man. I don't know how else to explain it. You have to leave the Western Hemisphere here to see it. But anyways,
top 5, Rob. That people watching, they can say, you know what? If I have these, I feel confident, and if it's not listed, maybe I should take a second look.
I would say that it's hard to dismiss ETH and Solana. I feel like that's just a no-brainer here.
ETH, Solana.
And I don't know if they'll be around for eternity. Currently they're the trend, but I don't see them going anywhere anytime soon. I would say Chainlink. I know that's not layer 1, but I'm just talking about like, hey, you said infrastructure. It is exactly that.
Okay. No BNB. You skipped over that one.
No, I think BNB will always exist as an exchange token. I just don't see it as a utility layer.
Which I think I'm kind of with Rob on this one, and I'll let you finish. But I just want to give a quick thought on BNB. With the banks coming in now and Charles Schwab and, JP Morgan Chase and everyone else offering the same things essentially that Binance and Coinbase and Crypto.com are offering, is Binance going to fall out of favor? They're definitely not going to keep their 70% market dominance. What does that mean for BNB coin? So, yeah, I think I agree with you. Okay, so you got ETH, Solana, Link. Give me 2 more.
I know it's way down the list, but I got to pick Ondo just because real world asset tokenization, I don't see that going anywhere. I think we're only at the very beginning stages of RWAs. I think this is one of the front runners. It is the obvious name that pairs with BlackRock. And so I don't know how long it takes. RWAs is obviously an integral part of traditional finance, which moves painfully slow, not fast enough for the crypto degens. So take a page from Chainlink, right? I mean, you don't see giant green candles on Chainlink. It's just, you don't get it. And just because the everyday person, the barber, the mechanic aren't buying Chainlink, they're just not. Smart money whales institutions are. I can say the same for Ondo. I think there is a little bit more retail interest in there, but there's that. And then, if I had to pick one more,
give me one more.
I guess I'll throw Tron in there too, man.
Tron.
Yeah, I just think there's little competition for stable coins overseas. I think Forrest brings up a good point. It's not my favorite DApp choice. I think it's probably the weakest. I don't think that it's going to be used for NFTs, RWAs, smart contracts. It's a convenient international movement of stable coins. The most convenient.
My fear is something's going to happen with Justin Sun, and yeah. Okay, so for me, I have, I can list more than 5, but these are my 5. Okay, I have Ethereum, obviously, ETH and Solana. I like them both a lot. I'm also going with Canton Network, right? That's the L1 for institutions, RWA. It's got privacy in there. I'm going with BitTensor. I don't think AI is going anywhere. I think decentralized AI is going to be a thing. And you're already seeing 4 or 5 S-tier projects that are BitTensor subnets that are doing things that are not related to crypto. And I think that's going to be very important. And I'm throwing ICP in there, man. I think ICP is such a unicorn project when it comes to technology. You saw what it did with Caffeine AI. I mean, you personally used it and you were impressed, correct? I'm not saying you were over the moon about it, but you were impressed. You're like, wow, this is pretty dope.
It was functional and it was competitive.
That was in beta. It hasn't even
functional and competitive. It was on par with the early days of ChatGPT. And so early days of ChatGPT was extremely impressive at the time. Little outdated, it doesn't hold much weight to like Grok. But then again, like you said, that was in beta. That was over a month ago now at this point. So I'm curious to see how far they've moved since then. I would just say this: most crypto projects, when they have some DApp or utility that they're hyping up, usually you like go in there, you go to the website, you download it or whatever it is, you download the DApp and you start using it, and it's usually like whack. It's usually like, oh, okay, good effort. Like
A for effort.
Yeah, it was like,
yeah. So those are my 5. Now there are a few other ones that I would throw in there. I try to stick to the L1 kind of narrative. I don't know, any of my 5 or Rob's 5 that you kind of find interesting that wasn't in your original. I mean, Rob had Ondo and Link in there that you didn't have. I have BitTensor, Canton, and ICP.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think like as the market matures, as crypto matures, it's just going to do what every other market or industry has ever done, and it's going to be consolidate into fewer and fewer. I think more competitors are going to die off. It's like, phone, like smartphones. Like you had BlackBerry, which BlackBerry's still around, but now they're like a robotic software company. They don't sell really cell phones. But like cell phone manufacturers, now it's just like what Apple and like a couple, like the Google Pixel and like maybe like 2 other companies that build smartphones and actually have any, real market share. So I'm sure there'll be like some of these niche networks, niche L1s that like, some people use or maybe some institutions use. But I think it's just going to consolidate down to like 2 or 3. Look at like mobile carriers. So you got like Verizon and AT&T enjoying like, 90% market share, throw in Sprint or whatever, or T-Mobile. So there's going to be 3 or 4 that have like 80 or 90% of the market. And beyond that, I think it's like I don't know, like, yeah, could you have made a lot of money investing in Mint Mobile, with Ryan Reynolds? Yeah, probably, like, probably a good opportunity, but you probably would have been better off just being in like Verizon or AT&T for a pretty long, sustainable period of time. So I think it's like you want to focus on the ones that are going to be around for a while.
You left out Stellar in the conversation. I'm just curious.
I was gonna say Stellar too.
Did you just kind of choose XRP over Stellar? Do you think Stellar's just really not? Just curious. What's your thoughts on Stellar? I know you have a deep thesis on XRP. Stellar, I don't know, is definitely something to think about. What do you think about Stellar?
Yeah, it's like I guess the primary competitor to XRP, like the most direct competitor, and I don't know. I'm just not seeing a ton of developments, or it's not to say that they're not happening. I'm just not seeing a ton about it. I like the long-term view for like the XLM chart. I think like there's a chance that it goes bonkers if XRP can, find a way to break out. But I'm not seeing the same, like, just Ripple's had so many wins, which is also frustrating why price action has been so bad. You've had Ripple with just a ton of, like, Ripple got a banking charter license or whatever, and now, like XRP prices just gone down because overall crypto prices have gone down. Yeah. But again, I think it's like one of those things where in a vulnerable market like we are, you probably want to really be hyper focused on the leaders. And if you chart out XRP versus XLM, XRP has been eating its lunch for a while, and that's even with bad XRP price action. I think there's going to be a lot of trade opportunities with XLM, but it's not something that I'm very skeptical on most crypto right now. But if I'm taking any crypto trades, I want it to be in something that's like kind of the leader in its own little subcategory.
Yeah, the way I look at it, it seems like I share a very similar point of view. I know you've went outside crypto and you're going into metals and other investments, but the way I look at it is it's like I've removed myself from expectations that projects that communities are pushing, that are saying like, hey, this one's going to come back, this one's so strong, like things that, hey, look back in 2021. I've dismissed these as opportunity. And when I went down that list, and I had a hard time picking 5. And it's not that I don't believe in crypto. And it's not that I don't believe in making money. It's just that I don't believe that the current situation is going to play out in the same way that everyone thinks it is. Everyone thinks that like, hey, Bitcoin's gonna break all-time highs, everything's gonna go up, it's gonna be an altcoin season. Like, that ain't happening. And if you're just blindly 90% portfolio into some I don't know, maybe Cardano, maybe Stellar or Litecoin or Avalanche or Hedera. I'm not saying that any of these projects are bad. I'm just saying that like if you're blindly deeply invested in these, there's very little guarantee that things are gonna rally, right? There's no guarantee in anything, but you know what I mean? Like, I think it's foolish. And so the way I have approached this bull market is that like, hey, I am going to not marry any of my projects, and I am prepared to abandon ship, and I am going to go where the users, the utilities, the dApps, the buzz, the community shifts to. It has worked well for me so far this year. We saw Solana rip early stages of the bull market, we hopped on. We saw Cardano rip early stages of the bull market, we hopped on. That said, I moved on as well, right? I was heavy into Avalanche. I jumped shipped on that. But at the same time, I did get a very early position on Zcash, got an early position on Dash, and I've gotten plenty of entries and exits into projects that rallied in the short term. So right now, what I'm doing, I'm sitting on the sidelines, man, and I'm just like, hey, where's the money coming in? What is going to rally? All right. And I'm pretty sure if I tied your hands there, Forrest, and I said, hey, you can only make money on crypto, nothing else, I'm sure you wouldn't put all your eggs into these large layer ones. You'd probably have your long-term position, but you would have money on the side, and you'd try to figure out like, what is the next trending, project? Where's the buzz going? Where's the community going? And that's where I'm at. And that's what I would encourage you, the viewer, to do. If you are, trying to make some money here in crypto, which I'd hope you are, is that like, hey, don't get stuck in 2017 crypto projects that the community is promising the rally, or 2021 projects where you're like, it's coming back, and like identify where the trend is going and put your position in once these things break out. Ain't nothing wrong with waiting for a reversal. It's probably the simplest way of making money here. Everyone wants to buy on the way down. Nobody wants to buy after it puts in a bottom and then has a nice U-shaped recovery and starts getting momentum. Everyone's like, I missed out on it. I should have bought Solana at $20. Buy it at 45. Like, I don't know. That's my strategy. I don't know if you guys think differently.
No,
but...
I mean, I think a lot of people. I think it's one of two things. One, if people don't have a large amount of money, like $15 can matter, right? But for people who do have, large capital or either way, you shouldn't try to time the tops and the bottoms. I wait for a confirmation, then I get in on a trade. Sometimes it goes against me. More often than not, it doesn't, though. It goes for me. Every time I've tried to time a top or time a bottom, to long it or to short it or to long it, respectively, I always get stopped out and it ends up going my way anyways. And so I agree. If you want the the highest potential success rate or win rate on your trades or your scalps or your spot positions, I would say wait for a confirmation, whether that's 1 candle, 2 candles, a week, I don't know. But if you try to time a top or try to time a bottom to get the absolute perfect entry, I think more often than not, you're going to end up getting.
Yeah, I mean, the timing's a little bit more individualized, but I just think that so many people are stuck in these projects, and like Caspa's a good example. Like, we're very, very bullish on Caspa, but it's on such a downtrend. Like, I don't see a reversal coming anytime soon, and it's just like, which I'm fine getting in a reversal, but wait for the trend to change, man, and then. If you see that it's got some momentum in the other direction and not just a little bounce, then hey, man, pull the trigger. I mean, there's plenty of them. I'm not trying to pick on Casper. There's plenty of projects like that are just down. Avalanche is another one here. It's just, you look at Avalanche on the 1 year. We saw a little bit of a change in momentum here earlier this year, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. It's just I've experienced too many L's trying to buy projects on the way down, and it's just like, man, just wait for the trend to continue to flip, man.
Forrest brought up Sprint. I just want to show. Did any of you? I know this was my dad's favorite phone. He loved it because it had the walkie-talkie feature.
Oh, the push to talk.
Yeah. He's like, I think at the time I was 12. He's like, son, because he used to take me on his jobs with him. Like, son, I get you on. We can just walkie-talkie each other. If I need something from the roof, you can grab it from me. And
I'm not gonna lie. Back in early 2000s, man, every construction foreman,
100% had one of these.
Yeah, 100%.
They were indestructible.
Yeah, they're indestructible. And then you could just push the talk. It was like, but you didn't have at this time. You didn't have text, right? I mean, there was text. I think you could text on this phone, but texting was you had to
press the same number 3 times.
Yeah, you had to press 7 5 times to write a S or whatever it was. Yeah, I mean, text wasn't very popular, so if you just wanted to send a quick message, this made sense. But
yeah,
antique there.
All right, I do want to talk a little bit about. Speaking of charts, have you guys seen this chart? This is a revolutionary chart. Testicular injuries in women's sports,
Here's
guys.
a shirt that is a graph that
this
shows
is a chart that's taken the internet by
storm
storm
over the years.
What do you think was the catalyst that we saw this massive
here.
rise? It
I don't know if
was
it's gonna
during
come
COVID,
down
gentlemen.
next year or what? What do you think?
And so just be careful. If you do have a pair of testicles, just know that injuries are on the rise. Make sure you have a tight stop loss set and you don't injure yourself. Thank you very much. I do want to talk a little bit about gaming. Gaming's been a narrative that has always had a run in every market cycle. And if you're on the side of this cycle is over, gaming never had a run. If you're on the side of this cycle is not over, it's getting close to the point where is gaming going to have a run? We have some updates I want to share, then I'll go to Rob first. So Off the Grid hit a new all-time high on Steam with 15,000 players. This came right after the game's biggest update, which launched rank mode and casual playlists. You also have this. mainnet update on guns. So apparently they had a deadline they missed. This week, guns pushed past 410,000 mainnet unique addresses with 30,000 active wallets in a single day. This activity stems from Epic Games, the gun wallet, OpenSea, and the expanding set of utilities. U.S. mainnet is happening. They had aimed for December 1st, but they chose not to rush it. And so there's a little bit of, I guess you can say, momentum. I don't know, Rob, you've played this game. I played it for a brief moment. It was cool. It wasn't enough to kind of grab and keep my attention.
It was a good game. It's just a very saturated competitive space, and people just get stuck in their game. They just don't want to give it up, right? They're like, you got your Call of Duty players, you got your Battlefield players. It's hard for a Battlefield player to go to Call of Duty or vice versa. There is some people that switch, but it's kind of like, hey, like people just pick their sport, I guess you could call it, and then it's hard for them to leave. And so because people are so loyal to their particular franchise, that if you're going after the Battle Royale player, that like it's very hard to have a successful game take from that, man. And you know, you got like Apex Legends, you got Fortnite. They all have like a little bit of a different twist, but you know, Call of Duty is like modern warfare shooter, but then you got Battlefield. They have you know, like tanks and stuff. Then Apex is more futuristic, and then you have Fortnite, which is more children. I think the issue, the reason we had a failure to launch for Grid was that it was almost like comical. Like it was like, hey, you know, I got a metal leg, whatever. It's kind of like this punk, cypherpunk kind of look, battle royale, but it didn't really go in any direction that made it extremely unique, right? It was probably the most similar to Apex Legends, and so it's just like maybe that's why. The game was good. The gameplay was good. It was smooth. It had users. They had a good marketing budget. It's just it's a saturated space, man. And one thing I would never invest in would be in a gaming studio or gaming company or try to build a video game. Like, you ever seen those the clearance section at Target or Walmart or GameStop? Wherever it is, it's like that bin where they're all like $2.99 games. You're just digging through there, and you're like Hogwarts Lego, like, and so like there's just so many games in there that are just like it's a hard competitive space, man. I don't know, man. And so if you're gonna compete, you're gonna tie a crypto to it. Good luck. I will say that for Grid. You know, I'll round it out here. I'll say for Grid, this update comes pretty late. It's been, I think it was like May they launched the game, something like that. And it's like now they're finally got ranked games and they got casual play. Like, come on, bro. You're supposed to launch the game.
Do you think it's too little, too late?
I just think that in general, like I've yet to see a game that had an update that resurrected a game. You're either popular and the updates make it more popular, or you're dead and that's it. Like that's generally how it is. I'm not saying that Grid is dead, but I will say that some games do ramp up later on. Very rare, but PUBG, Fortnite were two games. I think PUBG literally was a game that people were playing for years. And nobody knew what the hell. It had this tiny community. Then it exploded. Same thing with Fortnite. So I'll just say that those games, they can come around, but it's very rare. I wouldn't hold my... If crypto and gaming is going to work, it's going to be a big studio like
that integrates
Grand
crypto?
Theft Auto or EA Sports. I mean, you know, imagine if you had a Polymarket kind of integration into Madden. Just throwing it out there.
That would be dope.
The thing, somebody's gonna do it and make a ton of money, and then everybody else is gonna copy. That's how I think crypto and gaming merge. Is that one company is gonna make stupid money, and then all the other companies are gonna be like, shit, we need to do that.
Forrest,
too.
do you agree? It's an interesting take here, Rob. Also, I want to give a shout out to Alex. So, what's up, bro? How you doing? Forrest, do you agree with Rob? I mean, it's an interesting take he had as far as how the future of crypto integrations into gaming What are your thoughts? And is there any sliver of forest that is bullish on gaming?
Not even a remote sliver. Like you picked like the category.
Not
that
even a single
I'm
atom in your body,
probably
bro. Not a single electron in your body.
Not a single proton, electron, neutron, nothing. This is like the category that I am the most bearish on. And I'm not. You guys know me. Like I don't take joy in like being a bear. I hate being bear. I love bull markets. I love when crypto's going up. I love like all long meme coins that are just meaningless if the opportunity is there. And maybe there will one day be a narrative around gaming and there will be some trades to make, and it'll just be because there's a lot of hype and momentum in the space. Maybe it'll be around the Grand Theft Auto launch. But long term, I would not invest a dime in a crypto gaming company ever. Short of just like a little hype trade that would last like a couple weeks at most. The odds of making a successful video game are like you're better off like playing the lottery. Like you're just like the odds of a gaming company going out and making a successful, like think about all the games out there that are successful. Even like the big games, like they still have a declining player base over, like World of Warcraft, one of the biggest games of all time, declining player base over time because people, it's so hard to hold on to people, hold on to users. So not only do you have to have a gaming company that hits lightning, catches lightning in a bottle to make an amazing game that is able to hold on to attention for a long period of time. It isn't just like a kind of a pump and dump type chart in terms of their player base. Like Among Us is a good example. That game went viral and now nobody plays it. You never see it anymore. Fortnite and Call of Duty, some of these franchises have had some longer term staying power, Roblox or whatever. But then on top of that, let's just say that you have a successful game and it's not just a viral kind of pump and dump user base that turns to something else after they get bored of the game in a few months. You then have to have the gaming company also be competent at creating a token and a token value accrual mechanism, like tokenomics. Like you will never, ever, 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 in my opinion, find a company that can both nail the 1 in a million game and the 1 in a million token economy. It's never going to happen. Also, just the incentives aren't aligned. Like you're so much better off as a gaming company, like making a successful game and then like monetizing it without blockchain. And if you do monetize it with blockchain, you're incentivized to just own all the tokens and then just make a ton of money by dumping them on speculators. Like there's just no world where I think blockchain gaming becomes successful long term. Grand Theft Auto could maybe try to pull it off, but I just don't think the incentives are there. Like, why would they create an in-game currency that you can trade and speculate on, and not either just dump it or just keep all the profits for themselves? It's also like Fortnite sells skins. Fortnite sells makes all, like, why would Fortnite ever create a cryptocurrency? Because they're just making a killing selling these skins that they don't have to turn into NFTs. They just sell skins for like $15 a pop or whatever, they have like this imaginary fake currency that you go and buy with your credit card and it works great. Like it works phenomenally. Like why, like kids are going to use their parents' credit cards to push money into these games. They're not gonna like go through the extra steps of onboarding into Solana USDC to then go buy this gaming token that they then go buy skins. It's just adding friction and extra steps. So I know it's a long rant, but I would never put a dime in a gaming token ever.
For me,
I share the same thing. I think that the integration of crypto and a current company I think makes sense, but yeah, we'll see.
For me, it's if it was, when you talk about Forest, and I'll wrap it on this, you talk about Fortnite and it works great. I've bought V-Bucks on Fortnite to buy some skins, right? I bought my kid the battle pass. And so the only thing that I can think of is the fees they're paying, the processing fees. If you use something like Stellar or XRP or something that, or Nano, right? Something that is very cheap or free. But it would never be marketed as, hey, we're a crypto game now. It would just be the back end that no one has any idea. So when you click buy with your dollars, it's the back end stuff that happens with blockchain, but the end user would never know. So at that point,
I will say that when we saw people enriching themselves playing, what was it, Axie Infinity internationally,
Illuvium,
it has promise. Yeah, man. I think if you're gonna make money, it'll probably be in more of a cell phone style game. I think the intricacies of building a fully immersive, like download on your PC kind of game is so far unlikely. Even a cell phone game, I probably wouldn't buy either. But I'm just saying, if there was a game that was going to be successful, I think that maybe you're maybe one of those cell phone games, your Plants vs. Zombies or Candy Crush or something like that, or one of those tower defense games would be the one that, if you strong-armed me to buy something, I guess that idea would be one. But I would more or less hold out. I think a big company's gonna do it right, in my opinion. And then I showed this briefly earlier, but here's just the charts of the current gaming tokens. This is on 1 year. If you look at Bitcoin's price performance on the 1 year, right? Kind of sideways action. We're a little lower now than we were at the beginning of the year, but Decentraland from 51 cents to 12 cents. Down and to the right. GALA, even worse, from 4 cents to a half a penny. You got Sandbox from 60 cents to 11. Beam from from 2 cents to 0.2 cents.
I don't mean to cut you off, but
and then Avalanche, obviously, pretty bad too.
You guys want to hear what Trump is saying?
Yeah, what you got? What we got?
Bristol Myers Squibb Executive Vice President Carrie Gallman. Carrie?
I have no idea. It's
Tex POTUS. Let's go.
CEO Emma Wormsley.
Okay, he's just announcing people. He's probably going to talk about how great he's done, and oh my God, he's been the best president in the market's the best it's ever been, and he's the best, and we're the best.
Yeah,
and
Gavin Newsom
crypto's the best.
said he put a pretty good post out over the last press conference Donald Trump did. He was just like, all I heard was me. He wrote like me like 700 times. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? He won't wrong on that one.
There's some funny posts on Gavin Newsom's account, so whoever his intern is, shout out. All right, we're done with the show today. We want to thank you all for tuning in for us. Big thanks to you for joining us. Gina, roll the outro. You guys have a lovely weekend. Our schedule will be a little different next week. We're at Christmas week. We will not be streaming Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but we'll be back Monday, Tuesday. And we love you guys.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know what we here for. Entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I split the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.